Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to this week's Metaworld News. This week we are bringing you the headlines for the week ending 24th of March 2019. Yes, we're not only lost in hyperspace, we're lost in time too, but I figure we've got it sorted. Okay, I'm Mal Burns, and I'm joined here by James Atloud, who's multitasking on all our cameras and inputs and everything else technical that we need to bring you this program. So say hello to James here.
Oh,
Hello,
hello
James.
everybody. Thank you, Mel.
Wonderful. Right, now you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com slash Malburns. All one word, Malburns for the sake of Twitter. And we have a secondary feed too, which is twitter.com slash Metaworld News. Again, all one word and named after this particular program. The former is all sorts of important breaking stuff and links to do with human computer interfacing and of course virtual reality and virtual worlds too. The latter, the Metaworld News stream, is more to do with social virtual worlds and immersive spaces, collaboration spaces online, and just the odd important link or interesting link that comes up in that particular area of activity. Anyway, to kick us off, I'm going to go to my own feed, as it were, twitter.com slash malburns, and look at the latest headlines I've sort of kept here. Yeah. Now, James has a wonderful little screen that he allows him to show you exactly what I'm doing while I'm reading through my own links, and you will see there's a little Twitter column on the left-hand side which actually shows you all the links. Hopefully, this is all a bit higher resolution this week, so you might actually be able to read them if you try hard enough. But anyway, even if you can't, it makes for a prettier show, shall we say? Um, well,
Good
I suppose that's
context,
what.
right?
Yes, yeah, a context-filled show. I don't know how to prettier is probably rather the wrong word, but because you never know what what website is going to show what next, kind of thing. Anyway, let's get going. My first link comes from vrscout.com. That's VR the letters, and then Scout as in Boy Scouts, and but all one word, vrscout.com. And it's slash news and slash exercise bikes, VR, porn, electricity. Have to say, this is actually the first one on my list for this week, but it was a great one to start with anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're a very Puritan customer, in which case you probably should not be watching my news show. I cross-posted into Facebook for friends and stuff because when I saw this, it was dated March 17th, which I guess was Monday or maybe later on Sunday last year. So I saw, it was in the morning, and I suddenly thought that, have I slept for 6 weeks? It's not April the 1st yet, is it? I mean, I know I have a problem with my dates and stuff, but come on, come on. No, and it turned out it wasn't April the 1st. This was actually a bona fide post. People in Japan are using exercise bikes with virtual reality porn to generate electricity. And I just can't believe some of the. I think some of the expressions in this interview, I think they're just coincidental or accidental. Um, it's important we continue to pursue clear forms of energy. In most countries, this means blah, blah, blah. For Japan, it means bike riding. Now, get this, bike riding virgins watching softcore, pornography in a giant glass box. Oh, and by the way, you can watch them at it. Although there's not too much detail in that picture, and she's probably just as well. Right, moving down here, I just want to Japanese company Soft on Demand, white day illumination shining with virgin produced electricity. Celebrates Japan's annual White Day, which is Valentine's Day for them, by putting porn-loving citizens in VR headsets to enjoy some hassle-free smut from the comfort of a stationary bicycle. Sorry, I can't help but giggle while I'm reading this. Now this is it. This is Soft on Demand, the company. We propose the world's first system for extracting energy from videos. They explain. And they specifically requested virgins for the event due to what kind of line is this? Due to a spurting energy that has nowhere else to go.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, quite. You can see why I was in hysterics over this one. Anyway, the event is held in Tokyo's bustling Shibuya district. And it included a pop-up truck, sorry, housing several exercise bikes and what appears to be Oculus Rift VR headsets. Attendees were greeted by celebrated adult film stars, whoever they are, both of whom appear in the VR film displayed at the event. The event drew large numbers of curious bystanders who had wandered over from the street for a closer look at the company's first of its kind system.
Sure, sure.
And,
Why not?
and rather, there should be a patent in this diagram somewhere, shouldn't there? Rather elementary looking. And then it goes on to say this is soft on demand. It's not their first foray into VR porn, although whether um, they've had VR porn booths since last year with private viewing areas and blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
Anyway, I think that's it. Though I just had to read down there to come up with those rather astonishing lines. I mean, um, you know, what a great job to write the press releases for that company, eh?
Sure.
Right, okay. I'm going to close that. Hope I don't need it again. And moving on to our next one here. Now, this is a post from road2vr.com. That's road2vr, roadtovr.com. And early in the week again, 17th, Pmax or Pmax to launch a ruggedized 8K VR headsets for business this year. Um, this is obviously one of those announcements geared at the launch of GDC, Game Developers Conference, that happened all this previous week. Got a lot of links today, but actually, oddly enough, not many of them come from the conference, but we'll see. Yeah, basically, that is a headset that is designed for industrial use rather than home use. Obviously, as you might expect in a industrial environment, goodbye to the curvy outside and hello to hard corners.
Hmm.
I don't know, it's the difference between somebody in a nice spacesuit and being a stormtrooper, I guess. Anyway, that one's for business. You can find more about that at road2vr.com. Also at road2vr, if I remember rightly. No, sorry. I don't remember rightly, do I? Okay, this one's at digitalbodies.net. So all one word, digital bodies, as you can see on screen here, and then .net. Um, this was simply another preview of GDC, talking about the up and coming highlights that were actually coming up. Uh, well, it's still sort of interesting, though obviously the actual main highlights have now done the coming up, as it were. Oh dear, I got away with words, haven't I? The big event, I think, was the release of the Oculus Rift or Rift S. This is separate from the Oculus Quest, which is a standalone headset. Oculus Quest is an upgrade of Oculus Go, as it were, and is receiving some welcome attention. This Rift S has, during the course of the week, not actually received, well, let's just say it hasn't been welcomed as well as people thought. Apparently, some of the specs inside it, maybe to keep the price down or, include the new technology, I don't know, have actually gone down.
Oh, I heard that.
Field of view and stuff like this. It's the new version of the Oculus Wired, I guess. And yeah, it remains to be seen whether it takes off. HTC have their Vive Cosmos. That's a newer one too. Some of these headsets are beginning to look decidedly different from each other. I mean, just compare that one we saw on the previous slide to this one, which is, all curved edges basically. Um, and they're looking at that one, and actually, that's the only two this particular article mentions. So let's move on to the um, let's see, yeah, 18th of March. We're getting into the week now. Um, Okay, we mentioned this before. Or, well, we mentioned it. It may have been last week's show. Basically, this was when he was starting his entire week in the headset. Or he's now finished his entire week in the headset. Yep, indeed. This is virtual reality news.net. So virtual reality, all one word, full, full words, and then dash, and then news, and then dot net. And yep, this is a report. Yeah, basically on the things he's decided to, he's found out by having done this, and it's a ridiculous looking headset, that isn't it?
I
Look at that.
yeah,
Look.
it's I don't even recognize it for anything.
Well, I think it's probably a paint job that's been
Yeah, it's
applied
covered
to
up,
something.
right?
He's probably covered it up somehow and painted on it, and
Can you zoom in
maybe.
on that?
Um, I think we can in a devious sort of way. Let's have a go here. It depends on how centered it is, but oh, wrong. Hang on, come on. I said zoom in, not out.
Oh, just the
Oh,
text.
actually,
Yep.
yes. Okay, yeah, I get you. Yeah, apparently not. Apparently uh, I used to have a thing that allowed me to zoom images, but
Right, right.
oh, long time ago. It may not even have been in this in Opera here. Um, yeah, it's a weird one, but yeah, he missed the energy of the natural world, but his conclusion was that virtual reality is whatever you want it to be. There, so
Okay.
that's his conclusion after spending a whole week in his headset. Um, they actually do go on a little bit more. Apparently, after 168 hours, which is fair going, isn't it?
Hmm.
That's 5, 6. That's near the end, I would think. He took the headset off and felt slight dizziness and disorientation. Well, I'm not really surprised. I mean, that's like being in a space capsule for 5 or 6 days, then coming down to Earth. It's probably not the smoothest of transitions. The 24 hours which followed were revelation in itself. He never appreciated the smell of outside air so much.
Hmm.
So yeah, pros and cons. Of course, we still don't have smell, taste, and a whole load of things in VR. It's sound and vision really at the moment, and a little bit of touch if you have headsets and stuff. But there we go. Haptics are there, but they're not great yet. Right, my next one, VR Scout, vrscout.com. We've been here before today, so hopefully you remember that one. The country of Denmark is turning to VR to combat its teen drinking problem. No, I mean I assume basically that if you've got enough kids using VR and VR has taken off, then it's good for a whole load of things like this. I would imagine the real thing is to actually get the kids to use VR in the first place and also to go to the particular app or whatever. Anyway, it's alcohol abuse amongst teens, adults too, in my opinion, is a common issue across the globe, but a huge dilemma in Denmark. And 15 to 17-year-olds are the heaviest drinkers for their age in Europe, according to a recent ESPAD, European School Survey on Alcohol and Now Drugs report. Based on the findings, 73% of Danish teens that consume alcohol. I don't really know these figures. Here we are. To counter the problem, they're turning to VR to help educate teenagers on how to party responsibly and give them a better understanding of how alcohol affects you, all through immersive VR role playing. Um, okay. I think the idea, I haven't tried this out by the way, but I think the idea is you go to a party, as teenagers want to do, and you get drunk. And the experience is meant to give you an idea of where you to stop. I don't know. It's just another frame. The VR experience is very realistic, and all aspects of a team party have been accounted for. So you find yourself hanging out with friends, surrounded by people dancing, laughing, and drinking. You'll have friends approach you and offer you a beer, which you can accept or decline simply by navigating through the options and choosing one of them. Declining that extra cold one isn't that easy. However, since your VR friends will use peer pressure to convince you to drink one, two, three, or more, as the VR experience continues. That sounds like fun. I mean, I assume this is real friends as opposed to, so it's like a social world of sorts.
Hmm.
Very hard to tell from the way they've described it here. Um, but yes, I'm, I don't think it looks like that. Maybe it does. Who knows? Um, yeah, okay. One thing to know, I didn't know this. One thing to note is alcoholic drinks such as beer and wine can be legally purchased by as young as 16-year-olds in supermarkets, convenience stores, etc. And what is more surprising is that beer is legally served at school parties because there isn't a legal drinking age in Denmark. Well, no wonder they got a bloody problem. Right, okay. So, Denmark,
Right.
okay, Denmark, we'll leave you there, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I can think of other ways of curing that problem. Way beyond the VR app.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Road to VR, don't come again. This OpenXR standard has been ratified. This is kind of an open, well, basically Microsoft, Oculus, and others are releasing first implementations. Um, OpenXR is a work in progress standard that aims to unify the underlying connections between VR and AR hardware, game engines, and content, making for a more interoperable ecosystem. Um, so I'm pretty okay with anything that makes interoperability easy. Um, and Yep, it looks like the development of standards working with the Kronos group, another good thing, of course. Um, how this will affect a lot of things we know that are out there already, like open worlds, let alone games, not quite sure. Um, these are the companies publicly supporting it. Um, I'll just see if we can do that zoom trick actually on the picture. Oh, yes, we can. Okay,
Yeah. Yep.
there we are. Right, okay. We know about Unity and the Unreal Engine and WebXR, I guess. So these are authoring environments. The output environments we know they're Windows, Steam, Oculus, Gear VR, Daydream. Um, and yeah, over and beyond that, I'm not quite sure. This will be of interest to tech people, I guess. Um, Here are the companies. Let's see. HTC, we know of. I'm just picking up the way. Oh, Epic Games are up there. Oculus, Logitech, Nvidia, Microsoft again, of course. Magic Leap are there. Let's see. Razer. I'm only picking out the ones that are of particular note to VR. Sony Interactive, Unity, and yeah, I guess that's it.
I don't
But
see Apple
Oculus,
up there.
neither do I. That could be quite important.
I'm just
Apple.
saying. I'm not.
Yeah, no, good point. It's actually a very good point. I mean, yeah, Apple are often
Well, there's no
visible.
product yet
Um,
either, so
yeah,
that's
they're often invisible in these things, but they're supposed to be close to the AR stuff.
yeah. Yep.
So it remains to be seen. And yeah, I think the idea is it's a common standard that will apply to both AR and VR, which
Yeah.
is kind of what's nice sounding about it.
If I
Um,
recall reading about this too, I think the OpenXR platform already works on the Windows devices, the Windows mixed reality. So I suspect Microsoft is a big force behind this. If I were to
okay,
guess.
I'm gonna quickly
Yeah.
flip way ahead to another tab I got open here, which is actually from today.
Ah. Yep.
VR virtualitytimes.com. Um, Yeah, and this is a post, well, I guess from yesterday. No, March 24th, it is today. Microsoft introducing OpenXR to Windows Mixed Reality in a cross-platform VR Play. Um, I'm going to. I actually need to, believe it or not, I should do this before we start a program, but I'm going to have to take about 30 seconds to get some liquid. Um,
Oh,
but before I go addle-headed here,
did you have a
let's
video you could play for us?
Actually, I will. Going to the Melbourne's writer feed. Yeah. Um, this is the last week. There was this sort of Comic Con kind of event in High Fidelity. And this won't be too perfect because I'm obviously running it here from a screen share. But I don't know how much you'll hear either. But basically, this is a video of that event with some nice pictures. And while this is running, I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to get myself organized. Liquefy my mouth, amongst other things. So
Very good.
enjoy this.
Yep.
It's amazing. Feels like a real con.
Are you painting that live? I am painting that live.
If you are not over at the pavilion, please come over. We're going to start our first performance today.
Hey! Look at you all. You're amazing. Never in my life have I been able to actually become Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan.
Oh, then let me turn into Tidus for you. Okay, yes.
Wow.
Zoinks like hey Scoob. All these crazy voices like blend together. The Force will be with you. Always.
How he can switch from one character to another on the fly like that is just amazing.
Please welcome to the stage, Gary, Grant, and Tori from the Mythbusters.
Hey, everybody!
Oh my gosh, this is so awesome! This is one of the coolest conventions because we got like slapping zombies flying in the air. People are just like levitating.
Alright guys, if you have any questions, just get in line here.
I was wondering if Grant was still building robots, and would any of them be interested in joining me to defeat Prime and the Autobots?
I am still building robots. Do it. Let's say our countdown. 3, 2, 1. Oh! Survive.
Hi guys, how are we doing? You having fun? The prize, as you heard earlier, $10,000 worth of HFC. Isn't that crazy? Are you guys ready to see some crazy avatars?
I have slain the great Toothless!
Greetings, party people, and the place to be.
Is the competition fierce behind the stage, or is it friendly?
No, it's friendly. It's friendly, but you could hear the sound of people's mouths drying up.
Are we ready, Ryan? Are we close?
We're ready. So we actually have a tie, but we're going to start with the third place winner. And the third place winner is Mr. Glowbutt. So that's $1,000 worth of HFC. For second place, which is where we have the tie, the two winners are Johnny Bravo and Kabuki. We decided to just give $5,000 worth of HFC to both these winners. First place winner, Ains Algown.
Terrifying. That was fun, everybody. That was fun. I'm gonna jump down and wander around and hang out with everybody.
All right, welcome back, Mel.
Thank you. I've still got something in my mouth, but never mind. I can't time everything perfectly. Right. Yeah, that was over in High Fidelity, proving once again that what the things will just do their thing of their own accord, won't they? Right. Okay, let's get back to where we were.
Did you attend that event?
Well, that's a moot point, actually. I did, attempt to, but I spent most of my time in the kind of foyer talking
Okay.
to various staff members because I was one of the a percentage of people who were having different problems getting through the gate.
Okay.
I still haven't had an adequate result, despite asking for them on Thursday. I haven't had an adequate explanation, but I certainly wasn't the only one affected. But it was a snag. But anyway, it looks like a very successful event. It reminded me of the Fairlands thing that I did go to earlier. But I did go in the sense of logging in.
Yep.
I just didn't succeed in getting through the gate.
Yeah.
Why these problems with virtual worlds, I guess.
Yeah, well,
don't have enough permissions, it said, but apparently that wasn't the case. Lots of people were getting.
Yeah, I was just telling a friend that anytime I go into high fidelity, I need to allow an hour to fine-tune the computer, download updates, and then jump in. Yeah, but I went to the costume contest. That was fun.
Yeah, let's move this one down again a bit. Yeah, I don't tend to need to do much tweaking, but I've got to admit, at least once a week there's another update. But it's, it remembers its settings and everything as a rule. So but it's like anything you don't use all the while. There's a bit of a learning curve, and I'm in there often enough now that I don't really, sort of know my way around, I guess. So,
yeah, very good. Yep.
Right, where are we? So back to the links. RoadToVR.com again. HTC are planning lip tracking module to the development kit for Vive Pro. All right, this is more news from GDC, really. Not much to say here. You can go to RoadToVR to read all about it. Another photo. We saw another photo of this from a different angle in the previous thingy, didn't we?
Yep.
I must admit, this is quite curvy and nice. Although I can tell by looking at it, that's far too big for me to want to stick on my head. My audio headphones and mic that I'm using while I'm broadcasting here are bad enough without something like that over my head to give me headaches as well. But I say that about everything. And then in 5 years' time, you'll probably find you can't get me out of one. Who knows? Who knows? Well, there'll be a pair of glasses by then.
You're right.
Okay, I'm putting this one away. I'm tucking these things away rather quickly because we have actually got a lot here. Right. Oh, yeah, this we were looking at a minute ago, weren't we? That's the OpenXR standard, so I'll put that away for now. And yes, RoadToVR.com again. A lot are going here this week. Hewlett Packard's Reverb is a new high-res headset on the block, and it starts at $600, which ain't actually too bad. I mean, it's not exactly your everyday high street buy, but it's not exactly. I mean, I think it's getting to the point where the $1,000 mark, anything sub 1,000 sounds to me like it might stand a chance with consumers, depending on their economic demographic. Once it goes above that, I think you're talking very specialized, but we'll see.
Yeah.
This is a Windows VR headset from Hewlett Packard, of course, and there again it looks. You see photos like this, and I mean, this is no longer women in bikinis on motor cars, but there is something about the way they pose. The thing that I noticed most about that photograph is I can't even see her eyes, and I keep thinking that's an attractive woman. Go figure. I mean, again, the headset looks too cumbersome for me. Although she's holding the I don't know. They pose these things pretty carefully to make them look comfortable, when I suspect they're not really.
I think when I read about this story, the thing I found most interesting is that along with this story was the announcement that HP has provided a mechanism to order the hand controllers, which I've been reading a lot of people, if they break them, are finding it difficult to replace the hand controllers. So that was actually kind of significant side story.
Right, I don't think I sort of came across that specifically. I do know that actually the major focus of Reverb is comfort. So maybe I'm wrong, I'm only judging by what I think I will want on my head. Yeah, I think there is. I don't think. Okay, I think I read about this somewhere else actually. There is a licensing deal in operation. I don't think it's for the headset, but I think it may be to do with the hand controllers, where the actual technology used is by Sony. It's from PlayStation VR,
Hmm.
and they apparently licensed that to Lenovo, who in turn license it. I don't know to people like HP and whatever for use with the Windows mixed reality headsets.
Hmm.
So the actual hand controllers used there are not really the Microsofts. The actual the design and everything else is Sony, but it's just been ported over to be usable. But that's not in this article, and I can't.
Hmm.
I can't speak to the exact ins and outs of that. I may be getting my facts backwards as usual, but I do know that I do know there's some components in these things that originates with Sony and is only in the other things as a result of licensing. So
Right, right.
okay, we'll put that one away for now. You may know more about. You may be reading more about this than I have, so feel free to
Oh,
interject.
just casually, right?
Yeah.
Not as my
Uh,
profession, though.
yeah. Uh, well, where it gets too technical, I don't really either. I just make a note of the news and
Yeah.
let it be. Pmax's answer to Rift's asynchronous space warp brain warp is to exit
Wow.
beta. Do I need this tongue twisting? Right. Rift's asynchronous space warp brain warp. Yes, exiting beta this week. Go figure. Um, oh, look, that's the same one with the hard edges we saw. Oh, yes, that's the other article we were reading earlier. Fair enough, fair enough. Same company than Pmax. Brain Warp software. Right, Brain Warp version 1. Like Oculus's asynchronous space warp, Brain Warp is designed to reduce the massive hardware for high resolution displays. Out of its ability to improve latency and maintain acceptable refresh rates. Um, oh, actually, yeah. Okay. Oh, here it is. I remember reading this bit. Smart smoothing, fixed foveated rendering, and refresh rate switching. Um, I think this is one of these things where they reckon there are aspects of this that actually aren't focused on giving you super better resolution on the actual screen. It's the way gets to your eyes and stuff like that. The idea is they up the important stuff as they see it, and possibly down what they consider to be less important. That the foveated rendering is a major bit there in the middle. I think it renders the center of the lenses at full resolution and basically lowers the resolution of what you're not looking at, but is still there if you see what I mean in the periphery, and that gives you uh, typical VR game performance increase of 10 to 30%. That's a pretty wide thing, and the compatibility is currently limited to Nvidia. So, well, there you go. More about that, as I say, roadtovr.com. It's a worthy site for visiting this week by the look of it. Okay, this one comes from a rather more offbeat site. This is a site called reviewgeek.com. Review as in reviewing products, and geek as in strange variation of people that is fashionable these days. Yeah, reviewgeek.com. Oh yes, you can see at the very top left there the title. Right, now this side I think was the biggest news of the week, or it's certainly the biggest news of the Game Developer Conference. Google jumping in on game streaming. Um, they are not the first. In fact, in many ways, there is absolutely nothing new here, except that, of course, along with Google comes a kind of ubiquity. Um, the idea here is that you can use a small phone, you could be using a laptop, you could be using a big screen, you could be using a television, and in particular, you could be using Chromecast, which of course is a Google hardware product. And the idea is that Obviously, the emphasis is on gaming here, but the rule book in this regard applies equally to virtual worlds. You can already come to OpenSim here or Second Life, for example, by using a service where you go online and you launch a program called Firestorm, which is a virtual worlds viewer, and you play it or do whatever you want to do in it online, and you send your commands up to the server, and then they're given to the viewer, and of course the signal comes down a bit like video. But it means you can actually access very complex worlds and things on fairly rudimentary hardware, like a Chromebook or an older laptop or even an older desktop or pads and phones and things like that. Um, because basically it's a streaming solution. Now there is a cost to this, of course, because whenever you do this, you're logging into a remote server somewhere, and you're going to have to. It's not like logging into a web page where it's just there. You're actually having to pay for the server time and the processing power to run the thing you're using. And so it's not always the cheapest option. I mean, the only thing and Google typically haven't given a price point on this stuff. They've just announced it. It sounds like they're making a big play for that market, um, but I suspect it will ultimately be down to cost, as to whether people really want to take this up. I mean, after all, you pay for a game. If you're a gamer, that is, you're likely to be paying for a game. And the question is the cost of the game plus the cost of constantly having to pay for a stream to use it, worth it, or would you rather just have the game and offline? I don't know, but anyway, it remains to be seen, especially as we don't know the price of this yet. But Project Stream basically is now called Stadia. And oh yeah, of course, why like the Chromecast, the idea is you better transfer from between devices instantaneously. So if you log in and you're in the cloud, I don't know, you're using your phone to play I don't know, Mortal Kombat or whatever these things are. Um, then the moment you get home, you can just put your phone down and it's there ready for you to continue on your big screen via Chromecast or maybe on your Windows desktop or whatever. So the interchangeability there is um, part of the thing. Uh, God, I don't know what they would have been talking about on stage there, but when you see graphic processing unit teraflops, 10.7 teraflops. I mean, I know a teraflop is big, but I don't know in what context they're mentioning that. Okay, so there was a lot more about this and a lot more feedback about it during the week, because this is one of the things that got released pretty early in the week, March 19th there. Now, the next point is Google Stadia again, of course. Just something I found very interesting about one of the aspects of this Google Stadia, and that is it can use artificial intelligence to change a game's art in real time. Um, uh, uh, um, Basically, it sounds like what do I call it? Wind light in virtual worlds, where you hang around, you've got a lovely kind of scene, and you can change the whole look of it yourself. Um, this is some kind of style transferring feature which uses machine learning to apply art styles to the game in real time, turning a drab landscape into a colourful display. If you'd like to play in a realm that resembles Van Gogh's Starry Night, you can. Um, Again, not much in that article there. You really have to click through to different places, but that sounds like something interesting. Um, I don't know what it is about this that is directly connected to their streaming service, or whether it's a technology that they're developing that you could probably use whether it was streaming or not. On the other hand, it may be like a layer that is integrated into the stream. So Again, sounds interesting, but not exactly the greatest amount of information to go on as yet. Right. Now, yeah, this is actually in the Malbone's feed, so it's maybe in Metaworld News as well. Um, Sciencebase, very popular virtual world with us, really. Like High Fidelity, it's one of a new breed of sort of, slick 3D worlds. Sciencebase alter their world with the Unity. Whereas High Fidelity have their own system, and so does Linden Lab Sansol for that matter. Um, but Sciencebase not only attended the Game Developers Conference, they had a nice little booth there, but they teamed up with Unity itself to sell a do-it-yourself virtual world development kit. This basically is a ready-made make your own virtual world space that plugs into Unity for people who were developing things in Unity. I mean, you've always been able to do this, but it's more like a package, that you just just load this into Unity. Here's your virtual world, and then you customize it rather than starting from scratch. Uh, Anyway, they're making their virtual reality marketplace objects available via SDK in the Unity Asset Store. Signplace assets, do-it-yourself items sold within the virtual world. They unveiled the SDK in the Unity Asset Store at the Game Developers Conference. Um, what intrigues me is whether this actually would allow people developing in Unity to get at Sciencebase content as assets that they would then deploy not in Sciencebase but somewhere else. So that's a curious thing. And of course, the chances are they charge for assets. Sciencebase have done this for a very long while. Back in a decade ago, they were selling, and I believe may still sell animations in Second Life. Where you basically buy from the store an animation, and then your avatar wears the animation, and you find yourself dancing. And Sciencebase were the original developers of that stuff, and the real high quality animations as opposed to the homemade ones that users can make themselves. Anyway, this is all part of Sciencespace's bid to outdo Linden Lab, which created the memorable virtual world Second Life back in 2003 in virtuality. But even as Linden Lab tries to create its sensor thing, Sciencespace has emerged as the place to be. Well, I think whoever wrote this may be copying it from a press release, or maybe Adam wrote it himself. I'm not quite sure. Um, Talking of Second Life, which it shouldn't really be our business, really, but it is. This year, I think it's in a month or two's time, Second Life has its annual birthday party, and this year it will be their 16th. And they seem to have cottoned on to the idea of Sweet 16 because the theme is all 50s. And I was thinking this the other day, and I know Second Life has a lot of, shall we say, elderly residents, real life elderlies as opposed to well, some of us have aging avatars in there too. Well, pussycats in my case, but where am I going with this? Oh yes, yeah. I can think of better ways of celebrating a 16th birthday than going retro to the 50s. Which I mean, there can't be actually that many people in virtual worlds that can remember the 50s. It just seems an oddity as a theme. It's a really tenuous link, isn't it? Sweet 16, a song with 16th birthday. But what I actually found it more important actually is that this also is Linden Labs' 20th anniversary. Linden Labs was founded by Philip Rosedale and others way back in the end of the last century. So it would have been in 1999. You see, I'm good at dates when I think about it. I'm actually more prone to congratulate Linden Lab for their 20th anniversary. Although obviously we've got to say happy sweet 16 to Second Life as well. Anyway, a little anecdote there because of course all the fuss is over the Second Life birthday, and a lot of people are actually missing the fact that It's a more important anniversary for Linden Lab. Right. Okay, let's put that away. More GDC. Hands-on with Oculus Quest, right? Obviously, some people actually got to see and feel and try out the Oculus Quest. This is the new Oculus headset that is untethered, which means you can use it without wiring. Generally speaking, people are quite impressed with this. It's obviously more powerful than the Oculus Go, which is the same idea. It also has 2 controllers, so there's a lot more you can do to interface. And unlike the Oculus X or whatever, I
S,
forgot.
Rift S.
Yeah, Rift S, which seems to not be going down as well as it could be. People are getting rather hyped up about Oculus Quest, so people have actually had the chance to try it out, and you've got some pretty pictures of it there and pretty extensive reviewing going on. So this article you'll find at uploadvr.com. That's upload VR. Upload full word VR is simply the letters. Uploadvr.com. Right, moving on. Looking at our time here. Oculus Rift S, hands-on. Right. Well, as I said, mixed reviews on this. This again is uploadvr.com. Facebook's new PC VR headset. This, of course, Facebook own Oculus Rift. That's why they mentioned Facebook there. The headset takes small but important steps. Well, this review, I suppose, was really more technical than for or against, to be honest. It points out all the improvements, including inside-out tracking, which basically the whole kind of tracking system is totally different from the original Oculus. But again, the actual quality of the experience may be somewhat less. I mean, I forget which it is, but I think some of the resolution and field of view and stuff like that has gone down as opposed to up. You know, they've put all the effort into the inside-out tracking, and yeah, here we are. You get 80 frames a second, but in fact, that's the original Rift, the one that's generally still on sale, is 90 frames a second, which is better, if you see what I mean. And the Rift S lacks mechanical adjustment for interpupillary distance, whereas this is for eyesight and stuff, and that was in the original one, but they've taken it out. So, as I say, a lot of people strapped this on and were actually rather disappointed about it too. Also, oh yes, the no headphones. You get an open ear thing where, like the Oculus Go, it uses your bones to conduct sound. And the argument being that now your ears are freed up, you can actually also plug your own headphones in if you want for the ear part of your head.
Mhm.
If yeah, so you will be able to yeah. The good thing about what are we called? What's it called again? Rift S. There we are. Yeah. The good thing about it is that it frees your ears. You are able to find your ears again. There we are. It's got to have a good point somewhere. Okay. Moving on. New VR solution. This is a virtuality-news.net again. New VR solution helps engineers detect early design risks in product and process life cycles. This is one of these obvious things that we're hearing about all over the place. This is a French software firm basically providing solutions. A lot of these people called solution providers are really just, you know, industry to industry things where the solution provider is nothing unique in themselves. They simply choose various forms of VR and haptics and combine them and specialize in an area of solutions, so to speak. And this particular company is just geared to factory assembly and in-service maintenance and providing end-to-end solutions. So presumably what they're offering is a service to industry where you've got a factory floor and the client company wants to use VR to enhance their factory flooring, manufacturing, whatever. And ESI are providing integrated solutions for that. Um, Primary product Microsoft HoloLens for Skylight. What? Do you know what Skylight is, per any chance,
Nope.
Jake?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Okay, neither do I. So anyway, if that takes your fancy, you can find it at virtuality.news.net. Um, right, good old hypergrid business here. This is actually an article written by somebody called Timika Cobb. Um, uh, Person who's new to me, obviously, presumably a new contributor to hypergrid business. Um, My Shoes Media is launching a VR platform that uses immersive storytelling to make social impact and remote inclusivity. Experience the consequences of prejudice firsthand. Um, we recently, I recently had a post about a BBC thing that, well, the one that I can think of immediately is the one that goes back to the days of the suffragettes, and I think there was actually called something like "Walking in Suffragette Shoes" or something. The title here is suggesting the same thing, really. The idea is to um, bring products or apps, probably, to market that actually the sole focus of which is to put you in other people's shoes so you can experience life, the hard lives on the street, or maybe luxurious lives that you can't afford. I mean, it's the stuff of TV programs, isn't it? Where, go, take a video visit to your dream home that you'll never have, or take a video visit to the rough side of town where you'll never dare walk, or if you can help it. It's a wide open spectrum there, really. But he does say recent political development helped focus his plans. So it doesn't really go into much more. Oh, here we have a video entitled Noreen is about a woman who decides to wear a hijab as opposed to not wear one. I don't know. We'll see. Um, there's actually quite a few already up here. Sorry, I didn't realise there were so many. These are actual videos, of course, at Vimeo. Yeah, I'm not going to play any of these. We haven't got time, especially as they're quite long. They're about 20 or 30 minutes each, so well worth looking up, I should think. You can find this at hypergridbusiness.com, and the post was quite literally a couple of days ago. There we are, March 20th. Find out more about that. Right. Article at Medium, medium.com, as it were. This one is, I'm not sure who Ben Formaker or whatever this is, but why immersive technology is here to stay, and why not indeed. Basically, Medium are usually fairly long form, sorry, pieces. Yeah, this is an estimated 5-minute read. So, yeah, it's all text, but thoughts, basically. Medium.com for that. Back to Google, along with their Stadia or whatever it was called again. Google have invented a VR controller that has location and orientation tracking. This is completely separate from the Stadia thing, but a patent filing which was published on Thursday has described Google's plan to invent a VR arm model that will make it possible for systems to supplement tracking information for the location of the controller in both space and orientation. This opens up a can of worms, really. It's got a figure from the patent here, and they make a point of saying with the reveal of Google's Stadia gaming platform, these plans and inventions are now being watched ever more closely. Yep, well and good. I mean, if they can develop a controller system, I mean, I suppose it's like a mobile phone, isn't it? The GPS and everything else knows exactly where you are and what you're doing. If you can have a controller for the virtual world or augmented reality, that is pretty much the same thing. It could eliminate a lot of, specific connections, I suppose, between the controller and the particular app or device you're using. We will see anyway. So you can get more about that at virtualitytimes.com. I've got to shorten this news, you know. I'm drained. I'm getting exhausted.
Yeah, there's a lot here today.
There's a lot of it today, there really is.
Yeah.
And of course, I've had to do all the talking without
Yeah.
listening. Okay, this is just a summary at gizmodo.com, gizmodo.com. This is Google Stadia again, but this is simply a list of all the game streaming services that already exist that Google is up against. In other words, competing with. It doesn't specify whereas Google are trying to wipe them out or just compete with them. And also how much they cost and stuff. And they do make a point, of course, that Stadia and Google have given no indication yet of what things are going to cost. But the competition is the likes of Nvidia's GeForce Now. Where's the other one? PlayStation Now. There's another one up here somewhere. I missed it. Yeah, we are. Blade Shadow. And yeah, those are the ones. Oh, yeah, Microsoft Project xCloud. Right, so those are some of the competitions to Stadia. And of course, on a smaller scale, there are other things. I can't remember the names of them offhand, but there is a particular streaming service that allows you to run an app called Firestorm in the cloud streaming, and Firestorm you can use to access OpenSim,
Yeah,
which
was
we're on right
was that
now.
Canopy? Was that?
Yes, Canopy, and I think there's Canopy and another one. So there is more than these 3 or 4 that they've highlighted. They've just chosen the big ones there, and the obviously Google Stadia is Google Stadia, but Nvidia and Microsoft have already got sort of solutions in place. So it's Google seem to be attempting to come in and take it all over kind of thing with a one-stop solution, but they will be up against stiff competition one way or another, I think. Right. GDC again. Tobii launched a new mixed reality eye tracking software development kit. I have no idea who Tobii are actually, but they've unveiled an SDK for mixed reality applications. They're a Swedish high-tech eye tracking company. And they also announced a new set of resources it will release so developers can use design immersive interactions that leverage head-mounted displays with built-in eye tracking technology. So the features of the new eye tracking SDK include Tobii intelligent objects, which enable users to intuitively select items by using machine learning and algorithms in mapping out eye tracking signals to objects in a scene. Well, gosh golly, that sounds rather interesting, doesn't it? I suspect a limited number of you would actually have interest in the technical side of this. So if you want to find out more about Tobii's XR SDK, go to, again, Virtual Reality Times, or one word.com. VR Times does seem to be full of the ones that...
a little more technical.
Yes, exactly. The ones that I'm balking at a wee bit. Okay. Right, Microsoft introduced OpenXR. Well, we looked at this earlier because I jumped ahead to it when we were on that other piece. Yep. Right, okay, well, I think we're about there. Ryan Schultz, we're actually in the Metaworld news links here. RyanSchultz.com. He's had a brief introduction to a world called CAPSA, which he gives a little overview of. And it's in early access launch on Steam, but it's actually free. And I think we might have mentioned this last week now, I think of it. Or maybe not, but it doesn't hurt to look at it again. So you can find that at RyanSchultz.com. And the final window I have up here is this one. It's happening right now. Now, I don't think I got this into last week's news, but basically in Open Simulator here on the Hypergrid, there is a grid called Third Rock Grid, and they are hosting the 11th annual No Borders Festival, which is formerly called Robstock. We've actually interviewed them, well, not on this show, but on In World Review in previous years, and somehow it's just um, it's almost crept up quietly. This with very little PR. So you've obviously missed yesterday, which was the Saturday. You probably missed a lot of Monday. It looks to me, looking at the time we've got now, it looks to me that if you were to go there now, you'd be actually about to see the excellent Torben Asp, keyboard player, live at noon. This is all Pacific time. 1 p.m. Maria Bachmann, 2 p.m. Greybeard Thinker, and then from 3 p.m. on, a selection of DJs. Um, it's all to raise money for Doctors Without Borders, which is well, actually, officially they are Medicines Without Frontier, and since there's a little link there, I will actually close this down by following the link if it's willing to do that. See, I did most of this in advance, you see, which is very sneaky of me. It saves me waiting for Windows. Oh, lordy lord, what's going on there? Oh, right, fair enough. I think I need to. This is one of those sites that doesn't work in dark mode for some reason. There we are. Right. So this is the organisation that Rob Stockel, I should say, No Borders, is actually raising money for, and they've been pretty successful. I know in previous years. So if you've got time to hop over there today, especially if you're listening to this today, even in replay, there might be something still on that you can go to. So I think we're good with that, and with that, I'm gonna close down. Come on, yes, close the window. Da 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 da
Right.
da. Leave. Da 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 da. It doesn't want to, does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's off the broadcast, so no worries.
Okay, I can stop the sharing anyway. It's
Yep.
taking its time. Right. Okay. So James, any last minute thoughts on all that loss? A long lot today. We've been on over an hour then. So
Yeah. Yep.
big news week, really. Oddly enough.
Not a lot, but the announcements about Stadia are very interesting, and I'm certainly going to keep an eye on that. Um, it's hard for me to imagine it scaling to a really large audience, but if anyone can do it, I guess Google could do it. Um, the thing
Yeah,
about that kind of gaming is if you have no internet, you've got no gaming, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. You can't
Yeah.
play anything like that offline. That
Right.
is
Right.
the problem with streaming. I mean, arguably, if you've got a game that if you're trying to play a game or go visit a world on a rather old computer, arguably you can't do it anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
Even if you are online, so the idea is there. But yeah, it's very difficult. Streaming is fine for video and certainly lightweight things, but streaming where you've actually got to upload information at the same time, and as a consequence, you have a single entity on the server. In other words, you have your own viewer streaming on the server. You're not loading a file like you are when you play a video. You're loading an instance of an application that allows you to access the game or the virtual world. And so it's therefore streaming you an individual stream down, and it's taking your commands up at the same time. And really, I mean, the thing I think of as having capacity for this kind of thing is Amazon's cloud, Amazon's, whatever, which a lot of existing streaming services use Amazon's cloud software to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they rent those servers by the time they use them, and then they sublet those to the users that are coming on. Google presumably will be intending to develop its own cloud servers for something like this. And as you say, scaling is a different thing. I mean, you consider the growth of YouTube and having to scale that quite quickly, but all they were scaling there was the ability for the server to handle a lot of pull requests for the same videos. To actually have single instance things streaming down and also facilitate an uplink with interaction, That's a tough call. Um, Google presumably have the money to put that kind of infrastructure in place if they need to, but they're not going to. There's very little left that Google do for free. What seems to be free is paid for by advertising. So um, it's not so much whether they could do it. They probably have the investment capital to do it, but whether they can get the return on that investment, I'm very dubious indeed.
Yeah, well, we shall
Uh,
see. It'll be fun to watch.
yeah, I think
Then,
there may be a suggestion that this is a future that I just don't recognise because I love playing DVDs and Blu-ray discs when I get a chance, and I will sort of sometimes stream stuff online, but I like having the physical ownership of things rather than just streaming and having them online on a sort of rent it every time kind of system. And but on the other hand, I do know from industry sources that the whole television industry is threatened by streaming. Well, it's not threatened; it's taken over. Over 50% of the population of Britain now get their television by streaming sources rather than broadcast sources, which is it's over the halfway mark. And I mean, I guess some people aren't too fussy about having physical copies of things. They just think, oh, go on, pay to watch it like you go to the cinema, and then that's it. So it's not impossible that at some future point, everything is going to be streaming. I personally I think I'll be seeing my days out with, hard copies of things if I can, but, we just don't know the way it works. I mean, you can actually consider that with the power Google have or something, or a bit like Steam do now, they can have exclusives, which means you will actually be able to get the product any other way than through Google Stream. Like, there's things you can't get any other way at the moment except by going to Steam as opposed to stream. God, tongue twisters.
right.
So I don't like the idea of that, but on the other hand, it may be the future. So
Right. And then that Oculus Quest is, I'm pretty curious. The early news I'm reading is very positive, and the idea of no cables, no expensive computer system, it could be quite another turning point in VR. I'm looking forward to watching that progress.
I think so. I mean, um, I did succumb to getting an Oculus Go
Yeah. Yep.
at a reasonably cheap price or something when it came out over here, and I sort of regret it because I never use it. I don't like strapping that whole thing on my head, but it is cordless. Um, in a sense, I don't regret it because it meant it was good enough for me to experience what it's all about. You know how people say, "Oh yeah, well you can understand what it's about, but you don't really feel it till you've done it,"
Till you
kind of
do it,
thing.
exactly.
A bit like virtual worlds on the screen have always been. Till you log in and realize you're surrounded by other people and their avatars, and you can do this. Now you don't really get it. So but I'd had the Google Cardboard, which overheated everything I put into it. So it's probably going to set the cardboard on fire if I wasn't aware. It was plastic cardboard, but there you go. Belies the name, really. But it was overheating, and the Go thing is. Given the fact you're never going to get me for more than about 7 minutes in that thing anyway, the Go is actually full of interesting stuff that I can just play with for 7 minutes and then think, it's like I'm thinking now, God, I can't wait to finish this program so I can get the headset off.
Right.
It's just that, I really don't want to be in there for more than a few minutes. On the other hand, I do look forward, as you know, to the day when I've got glasses that will have the same function. And to me, the glasses would probably plug into my iPhone. The glasses themselves would be an alternative viewing device, but the engine controlling everything will probably be in the iPhone as an app. And maybe it's wireless, maybe there'll be Bluetooth like the AirPods or stuff. Who knows what way it goes. But having a small not just glasses, but even a visor that just hooks over your ears and stuff. And you can pull out like a pair of reading glasses when you want to read something. Instead, you pull out your 3D glasses and plug them into your iPhone. For the virtual reality or the augmented reality experience. And I kind of like that idea. And in a way, I don't think I would go for an Oculus Quest, even though, well, if somebody gave me one, I'd take it, of course. But I mean, I don't think I'd buy one because it's simply a better Oculus Go. I mean, I do like the idea that there's two hand controllers because there's a limit to what you can do with the one in Oculus Go. But apart from that, it would just be an enhanced experience. It's something I don't really use anyway. But I've been more inclined to buy a wired solution, oddly enough, because I'm talking to people in high fidelity. I'm talking here while we're broadcasting. I'm in environments on my desktops here. And the idea of having something I can just plug into a USB port and immediately switch to a VR vision mode is quite attractive. Because, the speed of swap in and swap out, I think, is actually quite important. I wouldn't want something where I've got to plug the USB thing and wait for 5 minutes where it calibrates and does everything else. But I think, a one-time calibration solution where thereafter you can just plug it in to use it or unplug it if you don't want it. To swap out the 2D screen to a 3D environment. That would kind of suit me fine. And, I know there are apps, that allow you to navigate your Windows desktop, for example, in VR. And I wouldn't want to do that necessarily, but I might have something particular open that it suddenly makes me think, well, the dimensional scope of this thing I've got on screen is going to be far better if I view it in 3D than it is viewed in 2D. And I'd like to be able to just do that, if you see what I mean, switch to an immersive experience. But hey, I'm down the rabbit hole again, aren't
Yeah,
I?
yeah, yeah. At least Windows Mixed Reality, it's not a 5 second switch. It's a major undertaking to switch from 2D to 3D. So now the key I
yeah.
think with the Quest would be if the popular virtual worlds, high fidelity Sciencebase, would release clients that would work on that operating system. Then that would be compelling. But it's the same situation as with OpenSim and Second Life, hoping that people would write clients for those, and that was not
Yeah,
able to
I think
proceed. Yeah.
I'm not sure about Sciencebase because they use Unity. Then, if the Unity toolkit starts supporting that, it'd probably be fairly easy for them to port it. And I think I can't swear to this, but I have a feeling High Fidelity intend to support the Quest. They're not going to support Oculus Go or any of the low end stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they are intending to support the Quest. It's something that's been mentioned a few times at the Thursday meetings and things,
Oh, that
and
would be great.
um, um, I'm okay, so much gets discussed, I can't remember. It's been mentioned enough, and I've got a feeling that the answer has been they intend to support that. Um, so they are in the position that a lot of these things are. OpenSim and viewers is very different, but with high fidelity, they get a lot of requests for things, for example, and they have a policy of not doing what they're asked to do by any individual. They always, they measure up. They've got limited time and resources and money, so they're so well. I don't know. They've got limited funds to be honest, well, there isn't such a thing as unlimited. Put it that way. But they within the staff they've got and the way they work, they want to implement things in the platform that are going to be of the most use to the most existing users or the most new users as they come in. And I remember having a discussion about camera technology there, for example, and describing to guys at iFidelity how we work over here, as you know, and we set things up in advance, and for streaming and whatever, but we depend on certain things in the platform itself, like hiding the interface and allowing us to camera around quite a bit Then we rely on user-created software like the camera HUDs we use, which are things we find on marketplaces or develop ourselves. And high fidelity say, well, if you want it, we give you all the tools, you can develop it. But of course, you can only develop things that work within the parameters of the platform. So if you can't move your camera a certain way in the platform, you can't develop a tool like a HUD that allows you to do that in an enhanced manner, if you see what I mean. So there's the distinction between user developed enhancements and the things that are added into the platform. And high fidelity, particularly, they apparently have a vastly long list of stuff that people want added to the platform, but they're very reluctant to add anything major to the platform if they think it can be created by users themselves and put on the marketplace. So it's a funny, there's always going to be that sort of bit of a conflict there. But I mean, as far as I know, high fidelity is planning to run on the which one? Oculus.
The
Yeah,
Quest.
Quest.
Yeah, I just found a Reddit post that says high fidelity is a confirmed app for the Quest. So we'll see if that comes to pass.
Very good. Right.
That would be great. I would enjoy that immensely.
Yeah, and I must admit, actually, I am lusting after something I can put on to enjoy high fidelity in virtual reality.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful.
On the other hand, I don't want to go out and spend money on something I'm going to go use for 7 minutes before throwing it out the window. It swings and roundabouts, but if I can find something, I don't know, I don't know, maybe I'll come across something, or I'll splash out on something and one day and think, oh well, what the hell. And then immediately regret it. I don't know.
That day could come, indeed.
Yes, exactly. Prone to doing that sort of thing now and again. Go on a shopping spree and leave my brain behind. Sorry, didn't mean that at all. That's quite a nice expression, isn't it? Go on a shopping spree and leave your brain behind.
Your brain behind, right?
Yeah, just hope you've got a full wallet. Right, okay. Anything else? Anything else? Your thoughts before we round off?
Round off an epic news show. One hour and 17 minutes.
Oh, right. Oh, of course, we probably started a few minutes late. I was looking. I thought we were 1 hour and 24 minutes.
Oh, okay.
24 past. Okay. Well, we're not quite at the 90-minute hour, but we're certainly at the 75 minutes. So epic news. Doesn't feel like there was that much news, but it just always takes time, doesn't it? So, that's it for now. It's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from him over there.
Yeah, the one beside me, yeah. The two of us, yes. Goodbye from the two of we. Sort of. I should give up on this and just say good night. Yeah. We will return, however, same time, same place next week, when we hope you can join us for another bursting bundle of. I can't think of a name for news which begins with a B. So.
Braggadocio.
Boy, that's a good one. What on earth does that mean?
Oh, no worries.
A pack of beautiful bonus news, yes. Okay. Can't even deliver fake news because that begins with an F. I don't know. So much for my... Right. Let's get out of here. Until same time, same place next week. From the two of us, it's bye for now. Have a good week.